All right, so I am just getting towards looking at these new characters. I did all the Fantastic Four stuff already, as much of the story stuff as I could, but I didn't really look at the characters yet. So we're gonna do that now. Now I'm not claiming to be an expert or anything. I'm gonna give my first thoughts, just what I think. I'll try and give some ideas on what this might, or when it might be worth pulling on this. I haven't looked at any other kits, so this is all going to be my first-hand experience as I start looking here. We're basically going to look at the Fantastic Three. We're able to see Sue, we're able to see Johnny, and we're able to see Thing. Can't quite see Mr. Fantastic right now, as far as I know. If anybody happens to know a way to kind of see his kit, let me know. But yeah, from what I've found, we can only see 3 of them, and one of them you kind of have to not really jump through hoops, but it's a little more, it's not super simple to just see his kit. But we'll start with the banner characters. We'll jump in with Sue and Johnny here. I haven't done the trial yet either. We might look at that as well. But yeah, we'll start with Sue here and see what's up. She's the 3-star. Johnny and Thing are 2-star. I'm going to assume that Mr. Fantastic is going to be a 3-star as well, just for parity and to be the kind of star of the next banner, you know. So yeah, well, based off that, we'll kind of have a look here. Now, she is a controller, so she's going to fill the slot of your Emmas or Stranges or whatever. But we'll see if she can actually fill those slots.
Hello.
So we'll start with her passive here, which is Force Shield. At the start of battle, all allies gain a shield equal to Invisible Woman's. I feel like that's phrased a little strange. Equal to 384% of Invisible Woman's attack. So that's quite a big shield. Shields are cool and all. Here's the thing with these types of games, at least in terms of what we've seen so far with meaningful content, the Nightfalls basically. It could matter in PvP with the Bifrost Brawl and stuff like that as well, but those aren't quite as meaningful because you're not really aiming for a positioning, right? There is, I think it's the top 200 get a temporary avatar for Bifrost now. Not really significant content there, whereas with Nightfall you're getting actual rewards to buy stuff like projecto films and that kind of thing. So I feel like defense is not quite as important. Obviously survival is good, so you can do harder difficulties and stuff, but I feel like at this point a lot of people are getting towards max level, and I don't think that's going to be as much of an issue. I don't think survivability will be as much of an issue going into Nightfalls. Obviously that could change, but for now, to me personally, I feel like anything that's going to increase attack speed, anything to just do more damage and do more damage fast is going to be superior. So having big shields at the start is kind of whatever. I don't think it's going to be extremely beneficial. We'll save her ultimate for last year, but we'll have a look at her debuff here. Her 2 cost, invisible attack, deals special damage to enemies in the target area and applies blinded for 10 seconds. Blinded basic attacks always miss. So again, this is a little more like defensive. Do you really care if the enemy is missing you? If you have the survivability, this is irrelevant. And also, this kind of goes back to Storm as well. A lot of Storm stuff is like reduces the damage that the enemy deals or whatever. I personally prefer self buffs. I want to buff my team, not debuff the enemy. So something like this, kind of not all that exciting. Moving on to the Inside Out. Now, I will say, maybe we'll get, we should get a Nightfall or some kind of meaningful content at some point that's just like a survival thing. See how long you can stay alive and have it because that would kind of change things up, right? Right now, regardless of whether it's Eye of Nightmare, whatever it is, the Eye, or Dragon Armor, it's essentially the same thing. It's a DPS race. You're just trying to do as much damage as possible. Obviously, the Dragon Armor one is a little more AoE stuff, whereas the Eye one is a little more single target stuff. But if we had something where it was just outright survival, where you just want to stay alive as long as possible, and that's where you got your points. So instead of having a timer count down and you trying to do it as quick as possible to get points, the timer would go up, and the longer you stay alive, the more points you would get. Now, if something like that came out, then this would start to be really good. Maybe we get that at some point. I don't know, but until then, kind of whatever. Anyway, deal special damage to enemies in the area and applies invisible aftermath for 10 seconds. Invisible aftermath is increases ultimate move damage taken. Okay, so you cast this on a boss or something, they're going to take more damage from ultimates, which is, it's okay, I guess, but it's, again, it's a little more restrictive, right? This is a little more of a team buff. It helps your team out more, but obviously you're not spamming your ultimate. I would rather have something like Emma where she's just buffing your overall special damage, right? Still a little niche in a sense, but if you run a special team, all of their attacks are going to do special damage, so you're going to increase that damage. Now, we'll probably have to go into the talents to see the actual numbers. Like if this is a crazy number by like 300% or something, it might be a little different. But yeah, we'll have to actually look at her talents to see the more detailed breakdown of these numbers. Now, there's a little controversy surrounding this right now, full transparency. So this is her ultimate. All allies in the target area become invisible for 5 seconds, and their attack increases for 15 seconds. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit better here where we're boosting attack. We like that. And then invisible cannot be targeted by enemies. Now, again, we're gonna have to see the percentages here, but from my understanding, the energy cost was originally 200 energy, and people were finding ways to essentially give her infinite invisibility. So I don't know if that was just some kind of crazy energy regen where she could just cast this over and over and over again within that 15 seconds, right? Which would be pretty crazy with the, depending on what this attack increases. But yeah, this is looking a little bit better. The ultimate's looking a little bit better. 15% or whatever percent attack for 15 seconds could be pretty significant. It was cheaper, but a little less cheap now. I think typically it goes from like 200 to 400 is the range, going up by hundreds. So she's kind of mid cost on her ultimate there. So we'll look at the percentages here in a sec. So move in here, 69%. Nice. Now this is at max level. This is at level 7. I wish we could adjust her level. I wish there's like an arrow or something to see the different levels so we could see what the lower percentages are, but 69% increased attack for 15 seconds, not awful. And then we'll go back over here. The ultimate damage taken was 46%. So 2 abilities that kind of accelerate your damage, which is nice. Again, a little more niche with the ultimate move damage there, but this is nice where you're getting 69% increased attack. So, and that's for everybody, right? So not too bad, but not super crazy just yet. Now, where's your passive? This one. Again, this is just shield, kind of whatever. Deals 45% of a visible woman's attack as special damage. So far it looks like attack is the stat we want with her. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything else just yet. So you basically want attack stat on her. Moving over to her first passive here. When your team has 1 or 2 of the following. Now here's another one of my problems. I briefly took a look at Thing and it was similar. they all kind of have stuff like this where they're okay, but they're better with the rest of the Fantastic Four. So the rest of the Fantastic Four are gonna have to be pretty good to make you want to bring them onto your team and get these bonuses, right? For her, you only have to have one or two. Okay, it's her attack and defense increased by 6 or 12%. So 6% if there's just one of the other ones, or 12% if she has two of the other ones. So you would have to make your team a full Fantastic Four team to get that 12%. Now, again, she's a controller. You're probably not using her as your attacker, right? So I don't know if this is great. Obviously, that's going to enhance the damage stuff here and the shields you get at the start, that kind of thing. Pretty underwhelming so far. Piercing Force, invisible aftermath applied by inside out, lasts 5 more seconds. So where was that? This one? Yeah. So that what was it, 10 seconds? And now it'll go up to 15 seconds. So you get 15 seconds of ultimate damage being 46% stronger. It's okay. It's more damage. And then lastly, allies with a shield deal 10% more damage. Okay, we're starting to get now the passive shields make a little bit more sense. So yeah, you're getting some more damage out of that. 10% more damage is nice. And it's I personally don't know if damage is going to be better than attack, you know. I guess it depends on the numbers, right? If you're doing 2,000 damage, gaining 10% damage versus 10% of 1,000 attack, right? Damage is probably going to end up being better. I feel like just from the numbers I've seen, just straight up damage percentage is going to be better in most cases. But I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, that's good. I'm glad to see. I was a little disappointed at first, kind of seeing reducing the damage that enemies deal to you or making them so they can't hit you. That was kind of but we're starting to see a bit more here where she's actually enhancing your damage. So not too bad. I don't know how comparable that's going to be to Emma, for example. The good thing here is that, again, Emma is special damage, right? Whereas Emma enhances special damage, whereas Sue is just enhancing damage in general. So she'd work with physical attackers, special attackers. She's a little more versatile in that sense. If you don't have good special attackers, Sue might be better than Emma. If most of your team is physical attackers, Sue might just end up being better for you, right? So not too bad there. So we'll have a look at her Soul Saga here as well. We'll start with Heart here. Allies gain 30 ultimate energy on defeating an enemy affected by invisible aftermath, which was the stuff from her 3 cost, right? Yeah, so this potentially lasts 15 seconds, and if an ally kills that thing, 30 ultimate energy. Not terrible. Increases her attack, kind of whatever. Allied invisible woman, Mr. Fantastic, Human Torch, and the thing deal 30% more damage to enemies affected by invisible aftermath. So again, they're really pushing that that Fantastic Four kind of team, right? So if you don't have them on your team, you're not really getting as much here. But if it's just her, she's getting 30% more damage, so that's a thing. But yeah, that's her 3 cost, can have up to 15 seconds, increases ultimate damage taken. Again, I like this. I like damage increase. I like buffing my own team. Moving on to Mind 1. Using full transparency, which is her ult, triggers Force Shield, which was her passive, right? Yeah. Granting allies a shield. Okay, so that's good as well. So again, she had the one talent where Allies with a shield did 10% more, was it? Yeah, 10% more damage. So if that initial shield wears off, you pop your ult again, gives you more shields to keep that damage boost up. Energy generation, always nice. And then increases the radius of inside out. Now, without testing, I don't really know what the size is. It says range 5. I don't know if that's like that kind of star shape, you know, or if that's the actual range she can cast it. And then I don't know what the AoE is. Like she can cast it 5 tiles away from her. Kind of hard to see. You know what would be nice? Just random tangent here. It'd be nice if they extended this box a bit and showed the actual like tile coverage of the move. I think that would be a nice little touch, so you know what the ability kind of does without having to go into a fight to see it. So a little less impressive here, but this is pretty nice. I would definitely lean, I don't know, if I was going for a Fantastic Four team, I guess I would lean Heart side for that 30% damage, maybe dipping over here to grab the extra shields. I don't know, but these are kind of not super exciting. Again, energy generation is always nice, but and then the final one, full transparency, which again is her ultimate, also increases the ultimate damage of allies in the targeted area by 40% for 10 seconds. So now obviously you would need a lot of copies of her, but I don't know if anybody has any fully maxed out characters yet. I'd be surprised if they did, but yeah, I mean, casting her all, you're increasing their attack already. You're getting the extra attack from having shields, and now you're getting an extra 40% ultimate damage, ultimate move damage for another 40% on top. So you're getting a lot of stacking damage, which is nice. And again, she's a little more general use. You don't have to have special damage characters. You don't have to use physical damage characters. You can use anybody, which is nice. So she's not bad. Now, I personally probably won't pull on her just because of how stingy they've kind of been with resources and stuff. So once I hit level probably 61, I stopped doing any refreshes. I don't refresh at all anymore. I used to only spend my gems, essentially only spend my gems on refreshing my stamina to try and get towards max level as quick as possible. But yeah, with how stingy they are with keys, with gems, I'm now in complete savings mode. And I'm only going to pull on characters that I think are something I don't have on my team, or something I think is going to be ridiculously powerful. She does have the potential to be very strong. I don't know if I would use her over Emma necessarily, since most of my good characters are special damage characters. So right now my main team again is Juggernaut, Thor, and Emma. I don't know if I'd slot her in that place. Maybe there's a world where that makes sense, but again, with how stingy we are with resources and stuff, I'm probably just going to keep saving. If you don't have Emma, you don't have Strange, she might be great. She doesn't have the shielding, or she doesn't have the healing, but she does have shields to kind of offset some of that lack of healing. And then she's going to increase your damage as well. We'll do the trial here because we can see her AoE sizes and stuff. I'd be curious to see how big her ultimate is for one, because that's fairly important. But yeah, I probably wouldn't pull her. If I might pull her if I didn't have Emma or Strange. She might be somebody I'd consider, but since I do have Emma and I have Strange, I probably won't pull her. All right, so I mainly just want to see the AoEs here.
Eyes on the enemies, Johnny.
Come on, sis. I'm not 5 anymore. I can shine on my own.
Okay, so this is, oh, that's his buff.
Get ready to rumble.
Let's get Juggernaut to do his thing. Now, I did mess around with Johnny a little bit in the story. So I kind of know some of his stuff, but okay. So it's, I mean, it's an okay size. I think it's the same size as like Thor's ultimate, Storm's ultimate. So it hits decently here. It shouldn't be too hard to get your whole team, right? This was the debuff. That was, what was this again? 350% of her attack as special and applies blinded. We don't really care about that. It's probably not going to use that. Can't really hit anybody very well here. I'm not going to look at Johnny's stuff yet because we're going to go look at that individually later, but do want to see this. It's a pretty typical size, that kind of hexagon-ish thing. It's not a great AoE, but what does it do again? Oh, it just makes them take more damage from ultimates, right? Which I feel like you would want her on a team that gets their ultimates fairly quickly, right?
I'm unstoppable, baby!
Uh-oh.
Get ready to rumble!
For my next trick, watch us all disappear!
Why is... Oh, that's why. I was like, why? Why are they still attacking my invisible woman? Because, oh god, she might be in trouble. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Uh-oh. Juggernaut doesn't have taunt in this test. So we'll hit him with this, and then Juggernaut should get his dash here in a sec to do some extra damage off that. Probably could have waited for her ult too. But yeah, it's a decent size on her ult. It shouldn't be too hard to hit all of your team in most cases.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Probably didn't need to do that. I could have just done this. Okay, so not too bad. Again, I think there'd have to be more extensive testing to see how much that damage amplification actually helps. But because I'm not going to be pulling on her, that's going to be a little harder for me to do. I do wish, there's a couple things I wish. I wish there was a way to test her a little more extensively. And I wish there was a way to go into fights aside from Nightfall. Maybe it's just because Nightfall is kind of locked out right now, but even if not, it would be nice if there were some kind of test range where you could pick what you were going to fight, kind of thing. Maybe not anything crazy like exactly what you want to fight, but a boss that's single target, a boss that's multi-target, that kind of thing, so you could test things out a little bit more on like a test range. Maybe a danger room, but yeah, something like that to be able to test a little bit more, and especially with characters you don't own yet, it'd be nice to be able to test them, and not just that little trial with random characters, right? But yeah, again, personally, I'm not going to be pulling on her. I'm happy with my Emma, but if you don't have Emma and you don't have Strange, I could definitely see there being a reason to pull her, especially if you don't have Cap as well, because Cap was kind of the new damage boosty support. She does have some nice damage boosting, and it will boost all characters, not just special attack like Emma. And again, it's a little more niche because it's ultimate stuff. Most of her stuff boosts ultimate damage, so you got to keep that in mind as well. So moving on, we'll check out Johnny here. So again, I did sort of look at his stuff when I did the story because they kind of force you to use him in a couple of the missions. But yeah, I didn't look too in detail. You know what? We'll go right to the talents here so we can see the full detail on these. Again, I can't really look at him at different stages of levels. So we're kind of looking at him at max here, but we'll start with his 2-cost buff here. So gains 50 ultimate energy and mad heat for 10 seconds. Mad heat, the probability of ignition, applying burning increases to 100%. And Human Torch deals 34.5% more damage to burning enemies. Now, I don't know if there's many characters that apply burning. I think the only one I can think of is Man Thing. He does like a charge and sets things on fire. I don't know if anybody else does burning stuff. So he would have to be doing the, I mean, it's Man Thing, right? He's probably going to have to do the burning stuff himself. So yeah, a good setup to go into his attack, which we'll get to in a second here, but which I think is wait, what is ignition? That is the probability of ignition applying burning increase. What is ignition? Everything talks about burning. But nothing is actually ignition. There might be some lost in translation stuff here. Like ignition might be burning blast. And there was just like some weird translation, or even supernova, right? But this already applies burning. So it could be this. It could be that the area he sets on fire is considered ignition. I don't know. But whatever it is, it makes it 100% chance to apply burning. But yeah, so when I was doing the story stuff, I do the buff to set up the mad heat. And then I do his attack. So it sets the area on fire for 10 seconds, dealing 80% of Human Torch's attack, special damage to enemies within every second. Now, I don't remember the area being pretty big. I think it was that standard kind of hex star kind of shape. I think it was that, which is not my favorite AoE, but this does drop a burning field there, so it continues to do damage, which is nice. So obviously his attack skill is going to be important. Again, going back to, did we look at the highlights? I forget if we looked at the highlights already, but the special highlight that came with this event, it boosted the attack, defense, and HP of a character, and it was for strikers. I'd rather just go with another striker card that just straight up boosts attack. The HP and defense would kind of be meh. I'd rather just get more attack to make this do more damage, right? So yeah, not too bad. And then his supernova, which is his ultimate, 300 energy cost. So again, middle range cost there. Deals 688% of Human Torch's attack as special damage to enemies in the target area, and applies burning for 10 seconds. So I would assume I actually don't. The burning might have its own like set damage that I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't remember if it's based on the enemy HP or the character's attack or what, but yeah, it doesn't say here necessarily. It would be nice if these kind of highlighted words, you could click on them and get like a tooltip, you know. Yeah, I don't really remember, but 688% of his attack seems kind of nice. And then yeah, applies burning, so you're gonna get more damage on top of that as well. Not too bad. And then his passive basic attacks have, oh, this might be it. So fire up might be ignition, because this is the only thing I've seen that has a percentage chance to burn. So you might do the buff, and ignition is actually fire up. So basic attacks have a 32% chance to apply burning for 5 seconds. Burning takes 12% of source character's attack as special damage per second. There you go. So I assume that definition of burning is going to carry over to like this and that kind of thing. Well, this is a little different. This is not burning. This is just the ground doing damage. But yeah. So 12% of the source character's attack is special damage per second. So yeah, I have a feeling doing the buff makes this 100%. So your basic attacks are going to have a 100% chance of applying burning. I would think. That's just my guess there. Deals 45% of his attack as special damage. So again, attack very important here. With this, I don't remember if burning stacks. So if it does stack, attack speed might be important because the more attacks you get in, right, the more stacks of burning you apply. But if it doesn't and it just refreshes, then attack speed not quite as important. But yeah, we don't really have a ton of burning stuff in game. Again, I think Man Thing is the only thing I can think of that burns. So I don't really know how the burning works with stacks and stuff, but either way, so far not too bad. Seems like a good attacker. Might be a little bit more single target, given the size of his. I'm pretty sure his ultimate is fairly big, like the normal Thor Storm, that fairly big AoE, but I think this is a bit on the smaller side, so it might be a little bit more single target oriented. Now again, these passives kind of make me a little bit sad about these characters, but again, another Fantastic Four thing where if you have one or two of the others, you get attack and defense increased by 6 or 12%. So again, if you have him and Sue, which could be a good combo, you're only getting 6%. And you don't really care about the defense as much. So again, not super thrilled about these. Like, it's cool to have the synergy between teams, but I don't know if I like that in a passive slot. I just feel that it just forces you into having to bring those characters. And if those other characters aren't very good, it just ends up being a wasted passive. Keep cooking. Supernova, which is his ult. It's weird that sometimes when it mentions their abilities or whatever, usually it's underlined as well, and you click it and it'll show you. But weird that it's not consistent. Supernova deals 20% more damage to enemies in the fire area. I assume that means this fire area. I feel like it should be worded, if that is the case, it should be Supernova deals 20% more damage to enemies in the Burning Blast fire area or whatever. Because I feel like this could be misconstrued as the fire area, as in the area that the ultimate hits, right? Again, there might be some loss in translation stuff there, but I'm going to assume it's this fire area. And lastly, reduce burning enemies attack by 10%. Again, not my favorite. I'm not a big fan of debuffing the enemy. I want to be buffing my team instead. It is what it is. Not super excited about that. But yeah. So I do have some concerns with this. Again, 2 passives I'm not like a huge fan of. His kit could be okay. But again, I feel like he's going to be better with other Fantastic Four members. And because I'm not pulling for probably any of them, I do think he's going to be a little bit lacking. And I don't think he's going to take up a spot from anybody on any of my teams. Now, it is nice that he is free. We do get him for free from the little mini battle pass for the event. But yeah, probably not really going to be for me. But we'll have a look at his souls here. We'll start over here on the heart side. Mad Heat lasts for 5 more seconds. So yeah, this was 10 seconds. You now get it for 15 seconds. Again, increases the probability of ignition, which I think is his passive, was it? Where his basic attacks have a chance to burn. So you're going to get 15 seconds of that. And he deals more damage to burning enemies. So not bad. Not bad. 5 more seconds of that increased attack. Great for him. While Mad Heat is active, again, that was that flame on. Human Torch's basic attacks additionally hit up to 2 enemies near the target. Okay, so he's got a bit of like chain stuff, kind of like Thor. But you need lots of copies of them to get there, so could be okay. I don't know how great that's gonna be. Could be good. We'll have to see. Defeating burning enemies grants Human Torch 20 ultimate energy. Now that's kind of nice because you do have ways to kind of consistently keep enemies burning. Every time you kill them, you're going to get that energy. Now it says defeating burning enemies grants him 20 energy. I don't know if that means he has to kill them or anybody can kill them. Again, maybe a little bit of loss in translation stuff, not 100% clear. I would assume, given the wording, that it's anybody. As long as anything burning dies, he gains ultimate energy. So he's got like, it feels like he's got good, he's got the potential to be good for AoE, but his AoE stuff's kind of eh. Like, again, you got to get all the way to Heart 3 to be able to have splash attack. And then again, his 4 cost is not the biggest AoE. So it's like, it's a little all over the place. Special damage, more damage for him is always nice. I do feel like I'd rather have even more attack here because it scales his other stuff a little bit. But again, this is one of those things with damage. Damage might actually just be better than flat attack, right? And then enemies in the fire area receive 50% less healing. Again, it's one of those things where you're debuffing the enemy. Not my favorite. I don't think I've been in a situation where something has out-healed my damage and I need them to heal less. There's been some gimmicky fights where the target does heal, but it's usually not really an issue. And I don't, even in PvP and stuff, in the little PvP that we do have, because it's everything's automatic, I don't know if that's going to be great. Little bit of a letdown there. And then for each burning enemy present, Human Torch's attack increases by 10% up to 30%. So as long as there's 3 units on the battlefield and you can have them all burn, you get 30% increased attack. Not terrible. Probably not going to be great in boss fights. I mean, I guess it's still not bad. As long as you have the boss burning, you're getting 10% increased attack. That's not the worst. But yeah, I just feel like he's trying to be AoE, but the tools he has just isn't great for AoE. But
Now you see.
again, we'll need more time to test. We'll jump back into the trial again here because we can kind of focus on him a little bit more here.
Johnny.
Sis, I'm not 5
But again,
anymore.
yeah,
I can shine
it's a
on my
little
own.
expensive, but I tend to try and set up this and then into this. Now, the other problem is, so the flame on thing makes his basic attacks. I assume it makes his passive, which is his basic attacks, have a 100% chance to burn. Problem is, he's just going to keep attacking the same target over and over again. So
Get hotter over here.
kind of not great. Not great.
For my next trick, watch us all disappear.
If he would like attack again, if he had that splash damage thing, that might help. But like, it feels very difficult to actually apply burning to multiple targets at the moment.
I warned you! I'm unstoppable, baby! Get ready to rumble!
Just hit. Oop, I missed. I done missed.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
I guess another thing I should have done. Oh, that. I think that's from his basic attack. I was gonna say I should have tested to see. You're getting your
Get ready
ass
to
beat right now.
For my next trick.
I should have tried to buff into his AoE, his ground fire thing, to see if that would have done the 100% increase burn chance thing, you know?
I warned ya. Yeah, that's the stuff. I'm unstoppable, baby. Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get the chance again here. Oh, maybe. Don't kill it yet.
Getting hotter over here.
But again, we already have the burning on him, and that's just from his basic attacks applying it, so. Yeah, I mean,
Didn't see it coming, huh?
you can see how big the area is for his fire. It's not like huge. And I feel like that's a bit of a problem with a lot of AoE type characters like Misty Knight. Not my favorite. Her ultimate size is kind of ass, and her other AoE is that same kind of sized thing, and it can be a little bit tricky to hit multiple things. It does help when you have a taunt tank and stuff, but that's only for like melee to pull them all in, so it can be a little bit tricky to hit multiple things. But yeah, he's free, but I think it's gonna be hard to fit him in to teams if you have like good special attackers. If you got Thor, I mean, probably not gonna be doing too much with him. Again, I feel like the whole Fantastic Four thing is just going to be a little too niche for me, with some of the passes being a little bit wasted, needing the other Fantastic Four. Again, I think Invisible Woman's probably fine on her own just to enhance the rest of your team, but you still are going to be missing out on a little bit with her not having the other Fantastic Four. Now the last one we're going to look at here is Thing, who is a defender. It's a little trickier to see his stuff here, but you got to go into the little battle pass thing here and click on the little magnifying glass, and now we can see his kit. I haven't found a way to do that for Mr. Fantastic yet, so again, yeah, defender. Not really surprising. I expected each one of them to be a different class. There's 4 of them. We have 4 classes in the game. Just makes sense. And then I expect, as we can see here, physical attackers. We had Johnny and Sue, they're special attackers. I imagine Thing and Fantastic are going to be physical attackers, just to have that kind of even split, you know? Which is good because, again, Sue's buffing is for everybody, not just special attackers or physical attackers. So you can have multiple, you can have Thing and Johnny and Sue, and you're not gonna have the Emma issue where like sometimes I'll run Emma, Thor, and Echo. Echo's not getting the benefit from Emma, right? You're not gonna have that issue with Sue. So yeah, let's move into this now. I ran this through a translator, and what it is I kind of remember what it is, but I don't want to like mess it up. So for every 1% HP lost, defense increases by 0.92%. So you're basically getting for every 1% HP you lose, you gain 1% defense. So as you get lower in HP, your defense is going to go up and up at the same time. Kind of nice for a tank. Clobbering time is 51% of his attack is physical damage, whatever. We'll look at his buff here. So now this is interesting. I don't know if it's going to be that significant, but from what I remember, all taunts in the game are 6 seconds. His is 8, so it's a little bit longer. I'm not a huge fan of the taunts in this game. It doesn't it doesn't work like you would think it would in your RPGs and your MMOs and stuff like that, where you're basically building up threat or whatever, hatred, whatever you want to call it, right? To mitigate the damage that somebody else would be doing. It's just straight up, it taunts for 8 seconds. Once that 8 seconds is done, no more taunting. The enemy will do whatever they want. But again, this is a little bit more of a longer taunt, 2 more seconds, and then he's going to take 57% less damage as he's taunting. So I don't know how that compares to Juggernaut's taunt, because I know Juggernaut takes less damage too. Let's take a quick look, actually. I'm curious, since these are probably going to be the 2 you compare. I guess you'd probably compare it to armor a little bit too, but their stuff is a little similar. He takes 50% less damage, but then he does a big attack at the end. Thing doesn't do that. Thing does not do the damage.
Think it's for stretching. I'm all
What did I say,
about
50%?
whacking.
And he takes 57% less. So 7% less damage than Juggernaut does, and taunts for an extra 2 seconds, but he doesn't do damage at the end. It is 1 cost cheaper. I still like Juggernaut more, and I mean, you probably should. Juggernaut is a 3-star, Thing is a 2-star. Probably makes sense. Coming through, deals 576% of Thing's attack as physical damage to an adjacent enemy and knocks them back. If the target collides with other characters or obstacles, deals an additional 288% of the Thing's attack as physical damage to the target enemy, and collided enemies stuns them for 3 seconds. I feel like that's super niche, like super niche. There's not a lot of times where there's a lot of shit on the battlefield, you know, to knock things into. And even enemies, they're usually kind of all, if they're melee, they're just surrounding you in a circle. So if you knock them back, they're not really knocking into anything. So I'm not super impressed with this. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Not terribly impressed here. And then we'll look at his clobbering time. Another 300 energy cost, so middle of the pack. Rolls towards the furthest enemy, dealing 480% of Thing's defense as physical damage to all enemies along the path. Repeats 1 time. Okay, so he's kind of got like a Juggernaut charge. And it repeats. I think it repeats 1 more time too with one of the passives I accidentally looked at. So 480% of his defense.
I shall check this out.
Juggernaut is 120% of his max HP. So a smaller number, but typically HP is going to be a larger number. Obviously more expensive as well. And it doesn't repeat. So I mean, I would have to see it in practice
Think it's for
to know
stretching.
for sure.
I'm all about whacking.
But that could be okay, especially the fact that it repeats. So yeah, the Thing looks like you're gonna want to build defense, right? You're probably not really going to use him as an attacker necessarily. So you probably want to focus more on defense to make his ult that much better, but you could probably do like a defense and attack, kind of like armor. And then this is going to kind of pump up your defense numbers too. So as you're lower and lower in health, you're going to get more value here, I guess. And then here we go into this again. When your team has 1 or 2 of the following, you get attack and defense. So both stats that would be great for him, but you have to have 2 of the others. 1 or 2 of the others. Now this is the one. One more time. When your team has 1 or more Clobbering time repeats 1 or 2 more times respectively. So if you have, so this already repeats once. So you're going to do it once, twice. If you have 1 more fantastic, you can do it 3 times. If you have 2, you can do it 4 times. So he's just going to bounce all over the damn place. Could be kind of crazy in those kind of AoE need to hit lots of mobs kind of deal. He's just going to constantly go after the furthest enemy, just hitting everything along the way. But again, to get that max benefit, you're going to have to run 1 or 2 of the other Fantastic Four. So so far, like, I could see Johnny, Sue, and Thing being all right. But again, it's very, everything feels very niche with them. They kind of have to be together to get maximum benefit. And then lastly, brick by brick, for every 200 points of defense, the Thing deals 1% more damage, up to 25%. What is my, not that I'm building defense on Juggernaut, I'm just curious what his defense is. 1683. So again, you can see the number difference, right? 15,000 HP versus 1600 defense. So percentage of this is going to be bigger than that typically. What about my armor? She's got 2,000, so still nothing crazy, and she's somebody we build attack and defense on, so nothing too crazy there. Let's go back here real quick.
Think it's for stretcho. I'm all about
So yeah,
wacky.
for every 200 points, get an extra 1% damage. You'd have to have a fair amount of defense to really max that out, though. Yeah, again, I think the biggest attraction to him is his ult and the fact that it repeats, and you can potentially make it repeat up to 4 times. He just go crazy around the map. Could be really good. Now, I do wonder, like, there might be a little lack of synergy there, where with Sue's ult, right, things within that bubble take more ultimate damage. If he's like bouncing out of that bubble because you weren't able to hit everything, you might be losing out on some of that damage. But again, it's a fairly big ult, so it's not too bad. All right, let's look at his souls here. Heart 1 coming through, which was his 3 cost. The knockback thing deals 50% more damage to bosses. I mean, he's a tank. Are you really trying to do damage to the bosses with him? This is nice. Defense increases by 20%. He seems to really like defense, so that's great. Allied Invisible Woman, Mr. Fantastic, Human Torch attack increased by 10%. Just another one of those things. Yancey Street's Rage. Damage reduction lasts for 4 more seconds. Wait a sec. The damage reduction lasts for 4 more seconds, but maybe it's just the whole thing. I hear double the music. What the heck? But yeah, a little bit weird that the way they word it sounds weird. It just talks about the damage reduction, not the taunt, but the taunt kind of comes with the damage reduction. So either way, I think this is an extra 4 seconds on top of that. So 12-second damage reduction and taunt, or after 8 seconds, the taunt falls off and then the damage reduction stays. Again, worded a little strange, but yeah, I'm not sure there. Takes 8% less damage, fine for a tank. Enhances Rock Solid, which is his passive, increasing defense by an additional 0.4% for every 1% HP loss. So it's 0.92. Okay, so a little over 1% defense back that you get for each HP loss. It's fine, I guess. Yancey Street Rage additionally reduces damage taken by other allies. Okay. by the same amount, I guess. So it makes your allies take 50% less damage as well. Again, like, we're not in a situation, maybe this is leading up to it, but we're not in a situation where we need to survive like crazy. I don't really have issues with survivability in any of the content right now. Sure, when you're first doing your nightfalls and stuff, as you're doing the harder and harder difficulties, it is a little bit tougher to survive. But at this point now, at almost max level, it's kind of not a non-issue. So for being the max soul thing, it's kind of at least in terms of the content we have right now. Can't really test him, not right now anyway, but yeah, that's kind of it. Overall, I'm not super impressed. I do think Sue is probably the better of the three, which again makes sense because she is the 3-star. And I do think she would find a place if you don't have an Emma, if you don't have a Cap. I think she would have a role as a pretty good controller to boost the attack of your team. Again, it's a little niche because it's a lot of it is ultimate attack damage only, but there is some just straight up damage boost as well, which is nice. So yeah, I think she could definitely fill a role there for as a kind of pseudo healer with the shields, while also damage boosting your teammates. I do think they have a bit of wasted potential with some of those passives that need the others from the team, because like, am I really gonna run Thing instead of Juggernaut or Human Torch instead of Thor? Probably not. So you're gonna miss out a little bit. But yeah, I think if you are missing out on an Emma, she could fill that role fairly well. But that's going to be a judgment you're going to have to make for yourself. Do you really need her? Do you want to spend what is pretty limited keys and gems on her? That's going to be your call. I'm personally not going to pull for her. I don't even know if I'd pull for her if I didn't have Emma. Just again, we got to be super, I'm mostly free to play, so I got to be very picky with my banner pulls here. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down below. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully we'll get to see more from people that have actually pulled on the banner and actually got her and used her. I think seeing the Nightfall when it comes back, seeing the leaderboards, so far, the first time the eye was there, Wanda was just everywhere. And then with the armored dragon or dragon armor, Cap was everywhere, and he had just released as the new banner. So maybe with her as the new banner, she'll go crazy in the new Nightfall, but we'll have to see. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one.